Kings, final edition of the lower grade wrap in 2025. It has been an absolute privilege and an honour to bring you this program this year. We've been going for 30 episodes so far, and I just want to say before we get into our final edition of the year, a massive thanks to everyone for their support. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through every single side. We're going to be looking at the year that they had, and we're also going to be looking at their best players and some NRL prospects for the future as well. We're going to kick off in New South Wales, as we traditionally do, and we're going to kick off with the premiers, the New Zealand Warriors. They finished in first position this year. Their best performance, no doubt, their 30-12 win in the grand final. Their worst performance, they only lost a couple games this season, but I'm going to go to that major semi against the Dragons, 24 points to 10 that one. The Dragons lost some forwards in that game. The Warriors just could not take any advantage whatsoever in that game, and fair credit to the Dragons, who played incredibly well in that game to move on to the grand final. But as we know, the Warriors rebounded the next week, absolutely thrashed a disappointing Parramatta outfit before going on to be premiers by 30 points to 12, and also state champions as well, reclaiming the trophy back for the New South Wales side of things after last year's loss. The most improved players to me, Luke Hanson and Kalis for Tialofa. Luke Hanson came to the club from the Penrith system out at Glenmore Park. Started in Flegg last year, played a lot of New South Wales Cup, but that's sort of a feeling out period for a young player. Whereas this year he felt a lot more composed when called upon, and he did a really good job as well. Has a great running game, picks his moments, when to kick, when to ball play, and he absolutely nailed it this season, Luke Hanson. I'm going to touch more for Tialofa in just a moment, because there's a bit more in-depth things to talk about there. For their attack-wise, they scored 879 points this year, which is the best in the New South Wales Cup. Defensively, only conceding 442 points is no disappointing effort either. So fair play to the Warriors this season. But their player of the year was New South Wales Cup player of the year, actually. Kalani Going. He picked up 8 tries, 56 tackle breaks, 6 offloads. He averaged 114 metres per game. He also had 628 tackles, tackling at an impressive 94% tackle efficiency, and was 27 tackles a game this year as well. He is also our league scene New South Wales Cup player of the year, which we announced a couple of weeks ago, but we will again go through our entire team of the season at the end of the show. There we have Fakais Fatialofa. I mentioned him earlier. There was a big offer from Penrith there. He backflipped on that. He's staying at the Warriors, and when you look at some of these numbers, it's hard to argue why. He had 14 tries in 27 games, 14 line breaks, 66 tackle breaks. He averaged 90 running metres a game. He averages 26 tackles a game, 705 tackles at 94% tackle efficiency. My only complaint with him, it's the same as Leka Halasima. They pick and choose their moments when to be involved. I think for these guys, especially these young edge back rowers, you've got to be searching for the football. You've got to be searching for high work rate and involvement. But this Warriors team is going to be looking a little bit different next year. Tom Ale, Bunty Afoa both already announced their departures. Tobias Crosby, there's rumours he might be going over to Penrith. Kalani Going has also announced he's departing the club. So these experienced forwards, which have been the cornerstone of the Warriors premiership charge, are departing the club next year. So it's going to be very intriguing to see how they get replaced in and amongst all of this. But now let's take a look at the runners-up for the 2025 season, the St George Illawarra Dragons, who came in second position. Their best win was that semi-final, a 24 points to 10 victory over the New Zealand Warriors in the semi-final. Their worst performance was a 40-16 loss to Newtown. That was at their Beers, Footy and Food Festival. That was just a really disappointing game from the Dragons. Their most improved, no doubt, Cody Ramsey. What a year this man had. And of course, he is now earning an NRL deal with the Sydney Roosters next season. Their attack, they scored 733 points this season, which is the second most in the New South Wales Cup. Their points conceded was the fourth best. Their defensive, they were a little bit leaky at times, but they conceded 622 points. Their best performer is another who will be leaving next season in Jonah Glover. He had 26 games, he had 9 tries and over 200 points, 5 forced dropouts, 22 try assists. He also had 21 line break assists. He also had 456 tackles with a 90% tackle efficiency rate. He's a strong half who will try and make waves at South Sydney next season. It's going to be intriguing to see where Jonah Glover fits at South Sydney moving forward, because there's a lot of competition. Ashton Ward there, Jamie Humphries there, Cody Walker's there, Jack White can play 6 in a pinch. So if I'm looking at the way their halves are starting next year, Glover and Ward are probably going to be the pair for South Sydney in reserves next season, with that spine with Latrell Segwald at fullback. So that'll be very intriguing to see how all of that meshes out. Rookie spotlight, Jacob Halengahu. He had 16 appearances in his rookie year. He had a sprinkling of NRL, which will make him prime for 2026. Of course, the Dragons have such a plethora of youth in their pack. The Couchman boys, Dylan Egan, Hamish Stewart, Lockhart Pacific Tonga, Nick Sagranis, who made his debut as well, even though he played mostly in the outside backs this season. He scored 2 tries this year, Halengahu, 4 line breaks, 5 offloads. He averages just under 100 metres a game. He had 391 tackles and a 95% tackle efficiency rate. So Halengahu's going to be one that'll be primed for a big year. Well, the grand finalists are out of the way. Let's see the other teams who fell just short of the big dance, starting with the Parramatta Eels. Our lower grade wrap New South Wales Cup season review, and it is the third place Parramatta Eels. They were eliminated in the preliminary final against the New Zealand Warriors, but they had a pretty good run in general. Their best performance, in my view, was their 36-22 win over the Dragons. Now, that game ended a pretty long winning streak for the St George Illawarra Dragons. That was down at Wynn Stadium in about July. Their worst performance, though, was a 54-6 loss to Norths in the final round, because as Parramatta's New South Wales Cup team can progress through the year, some of those key players like your Jarvis Papalis, your Jordan Samranis, were being relied on more and more in first grade, and that takes a big hit out of this sort of cup squad, and they saw the full effect of that against the North Sydney Bears. Their most improved players to me, Saxon Pryke, before he picked up a pretty gruesome ankle injury and a bit of a muddy affair against North Sydney. I thought he was outstanding. His work rate through the middle, his progressions year on year were outstanding. Another one to continue that progression from Flegg, even in Lodge junior reps last year, up in the New South Wales Cup, was their centre free quarter, Aras Nanva, who was absolutely scintillating to watch. The partnership he and Richard Penasini built up with throughout the year was really fun to watch. However, as we'll see, defence proved to be a problem. They conceded 711 points this season while scoring 709 throughout the season. Now, I touched on Jordan Sambrani's progression, seeing him miss out in this Cup side. He was their best performer of the year. He was judged their Bob O'Reilly New South Wales Cup Player of the Year at the club's Ken Fournette Medal Awards night. He picked up 10 tries with 4 tries, 3 try assists, 33 tackle breaks. He earned his NRL debut, as we mentioned. He averaged over 150 metres, and he also tackled at 89% this season. He has a high upside for the Parramatta Eels. For the rookie spotlight, though, I want to touch on Lorenzo Talataina. Now, he was the 2025 SG Ball Player of the Year that progressed into Cup. He was somewhat of a controversial omission from the New South Wales Under-19 squad, considering he dominated the junior representative competition here in New South Wales. He's a run-first style player with an instinctful attacking game, he had 25 tackle breaks over his first 8 open age games. He made 145 tackles with 30 misses in his first full age campaign. I expect that this off-season will be one from hell with some of those forwards, Junior Barlow, your Jack Williams of the world, doing nothing but run at Lorenzo Talataina all summer long. In my view, he is Parramatta's long-term 5'8", potentially next to Jonah Pezzett. All the talks are continuing. By the time this episode goes to air, we might know where Jonah Pezzett's future lies, but that'll be an interesting little tidbit to watch out for. Meanwhile, next up, we're going to look at the Canberra Raiders. They finished in 5th position, eliminated in the second week of the New South Wales Cup Final Series by the Parramatta Eels. Their best performance was a 24-20 win over the Newtown Jets in the Eliminator. That was the week where Ricky Stewart pulled his entire NRL squad. So this squad was their jersey flag, and some of the base players like your Mitchell Prests of the world, your Venapatuki Cases of the world, they were the ones that had to stand up and lift. And you also had the Tualiti brothers shine very, very well in this game. Their worst performance, though, was a 34-28 loss to North Sydney. They were just all over the park that afternoon at Bear Park, and a couple of late tries definitely made the scoreline look a little bit better than it should have. Their most improved for me was Noah Martin, the most damaging player on the edge for the Raiders this season. He runs a good line, can get on the end of a great attacking kick, and will be one that Ricky Stewart will be keen to see progress through the grades as we get through the seasons. Well, their point score was 750 and conceding 630 points. Let's have a look at their best performer, Adam Cook. Another great campaign for last year's 2024 New South Wales Cup Player of the Season. He forced 18 dropouts, he set up 30 tries, 19 line break assists, 479 tackles with 90% tackle efficiency. Ricky Stewart saw something in him 2 years ago to bring him back from Mackay. His career has been progressing nicely ever since. He might be a little bit of a smoky to potentially go into the halves next year if something just doesn't gel between Ethan Strange and Ethan Sanders. He's a nice calming influence around the squad as he moves into a deal that sees him training more with the squad next season. Our rookie spotlight here, Manaia Waitioti, a well-earned NRL debut in round 27. He played 24 games. He led the New South Wales Cup with 107 tackle breaks. He's such a physical ball carrier. He also scored 9 tries. He had 29 offloads, the most for a back in the New South Wales Cup. Also 236 tackles at an 86% tackle efficiency rate. The last of our semi-final teams sees the Newtown Jets piloted. Their best position this season was 4th, eliminated in week 1 by the Canberra Raiders. Their best performance was a 40-16 win over the Dragons, a day where ROTY absolutely carved up. Their worst performance, though, was an absolute collapse they had at the hands of the Roosters. They led 24-0. They were romping at home, but conceded 26 unanswered points to lose that game quite dramatically. Their most improved player this season, Michael Gabriel, and we'll touch on him in a matter of moments. They've scored 653 points this year while conceding 546. Their best performer was their halfback, Niwai Punu. It was a breakout year for the Newtown half, the leading point scorer with 205. He had 21 try assists, 19 line break assists, 11 forced dropouts, 437 tackles, and 85% tackle efficiency rate. But he did miss the most tackles in the New South Wales Cup for a 3rd season running. If we're talking about improvements, though, last year I think he missed something like 120 tackles. This year he's only missed about 70 odd, so it's a considerable improvement from Niwai there. We touched on it earlier in the year, and ever since we touched on it, they just missed tackles after tackle after tackle. But that being said, you watch the tape back from their semi-final, they really missed an experienced head next to Riley Pollard. Niwai Punu, he would have been that guy. And then next up, Michael Gabriel, our rookie spotlight. What a year for the former Bulldog. Recently extended by the club. He scored 19 tries in 20 matches, 53 tackle breaks, 16 line breaks. He averaged over 110 metres a game. However, there's games that fluctuate where he can run over 150 metres, and there's games where he barely sees the ball at all and has under 40 running metres. So those are the variances that need to be improved for a young player. He also made 175 tackles with an 82% tackle efficiency. Just outside the top 5 this season as we continue our lower grade season recaps. 6th position, they just missed the finals. Their best performance of the year, ending a 16-game undefeated run by the New Zealand Warriors. It was a 20-18 win over at St Mary's, but a 2-game skid saw their remarkable rise to semi-final contention falter, a 1-point loss to the Dragons, and then a disappointing loss in the last round. But we can excuse that last round performance, because as we know, Ivan Cleary rested his entire NRL side, and it pretty much resulted in one-way traffic for the Raiders. But their worst performance, round 12, they lost by 20 points to second-last place Newcastle over at the Blacktown Sports and Entertainment Hub. The most improved player this year for me was centre David Farlow. I really liked the way he improved his game this year. His work rate out of yardage was superb. I thought his tackle-busting ability in the attacking zone was very, very sound. He'll be a big loss next year as he heads over for an NRL opportunity with the St George Illawarra Dragons. He's a sound player with a high upside in his future. Their points scored this season was 619 while conceding 539. Their best performer is a player who'll be departing the club at the end of the season in Luke Summerton. He played 13 matches but was impactful most because he was injured at times. He did like to pick up a concussion or two, similar to Wade Egan, but also he got called up to NRL when Mitch Kenny was suspended as well. He picked up 5 tries, forced 2 dropouts, 3 try assists, 6 offloads, but defensively and his leadership through the middle third was what made the biggest difference. 456 tackles with 94% tackle efficiency. We're going to be highlighting Billy Phillips a little bit later as he was our Rookie of the Year, but he's also our Rookie Spotlight here. He played 23 matches this year, scoring 2 tries, 4 line breaks, 27 tackle breaks, averaging 31 tackles a game, and a 95% tackle efficiency, so a fair dinkum year for Billy Phillips. For the Panthers, most of their cup side has moved on. Players like Preston Ricky, Dane Laurie, Harry Hassett are all on the lookout for new clubs next season. Some have been confirmed for their new homes, while others are still on the lookout for their next club. So next year, a very intriguing one without the coach Ben Harden, who's moving up into the assistant ranks of Ivan Cleary. Next up, though, the Sydney Roosters. They finished the year in 7th in a much improved display from their first 2 seasons in the New South Wales Cup. They had a 38-18 win over high-flying Parramatta in round 18 as their best performance of the year, but their worst performance came 1 week earlier with a 28-14 loss to Western Suburbs. I thought they were really lacklustre in that game, and they just had no energy whatsoever. Their most improved was edge back rower Hayden Barton. He could hit a line, get on the end of a nice try or two, and really prove to be troublesome for the defence. Defensively, though, was their concern this year. They had a lot of chopping and changing at times, and that impacted squad cohesion. They had a couple of 50s put on them at times, conceding 623 points. However, their attack hummed much more considerably with 558 points. Speaking of attacking hums, Tom Rodwell arrived to the club for the Newtown Jets this season. A bit of a maligned player from some of our lower grade rap fans. Especially those at Newtown, but he picked up 20 tries this season and earned himself an NRL debut, was also the Roosters New South Wales Cup Player of the Year at their awards night. He had 18 line breaks, 49 tackle breaks. He'll be on a top 30 deal next year for the Roosters, providing outside back depth, competing with the likes of Junior Bunga, Junior Tupou, 4 outside back spots, and he also averaged over 160 metres a game. Meanwhile, his brother, Toby Rodwell, is one of the more talked about rookie half prospects in the NRL. He made his New South Wales Cup debut in round 2, playing 14 games as he split time between SG Ball, Flag and Cup throughout the year. When he was in SG Ball, he was man of the match in the SG Ball Cup Grand Final as the Roosters came back late to defeat Parramatta. And I'm apologising to our folks over at the Cumberland Throw. I did predict a Rodwell field goal. But he also was scintillating in the New South Wales Cup. I go back to that Newtown game. They were down 24-0. They came back to win 26-24 and it was all on the back of Toby Rodwell. I love the way he's able to take the ball to the line, but also be a creator as well. Forced 5 dropouts, can kick a 40-20, had 7 try assists on the year, 211 tackles at a 90% tackle efficiency. For one, I cannot wait to see how Toby Rodwell develops next season, particularly if he gets Hugo Savala next to him or even Daly Cherry Evans. Next up, though, we're going to have a look at Canterbury's season. They finished the year in 8th position. Their best performance was over at Magic Round at Scully Park in Tamworth when they picked up a 41-28 win over Parramatta. Their worst performance of the year, a 50-0 loss to the North Sydney Bears in round 19. Their most improved performer was Logan Spinks, the edge-back row from Wagga Wagga. I really do like the way that this bloke likes to play. He can pick a good line, makes good solid contact, and I'm a big fan of his work rate. They scored 690 points this year while conceding 647. One last point I want to make on Logan Spinks, it says a lot that the club back him when they're willing to let other prospects like Luke Smith walk at the end of this season. So really, really strong performances from Logan Spinks, and it shouldn't be too long. We'll see him in the trials. We might even see a sneaky NRL debut here or there. Their best performer in Cup this year was Jeffro Rena-Kama. His strong season earned himself an NRL debut in an unlikely stint at finals football. He played 14 games, scored 14 tries, 14 line breaks, had 24 tackle breaks. If you're going to be an outside back in the NRL, that tackle break stat does need to improve for mine. He was highly involved out of yardage, averaging over 150 metres a game. Just needs to bulk up a little bit over the summer. Maybe spend some time in the weight room with Jacob Kiraz and just start to see those developments take shape. But that's the only negative I have on Jeffro. He's a fast player and he's got a high ceiling as an NRL outside back. But for the rookie prospects, we're going to go to Mitch Woods. He's been the talk at the town. They've got Galvin, they've got Burden, but Mitch Woods looks like he will be the 7 next to whoever they want to pair at 6 next season. He made his New South Wales Cup debut midway through the year. He had 8 try assists, 4 tries. He ran the ball well and managed the game great. I do have some concerns over his defensive ability in the open age game, but they will be tightened out. I expect a full off season of him being run out by Jacob Preston and Viliami Kikau when they get back from international duties, and it will be absolutely immense for Mitchell Woods this season. So for Canterbury, a very sound year in 8th position. They had some disappointing players along the way, but they also unearthed a lot of bright talent. Cassius Tia as well, another one to shine there. While some players next season, I'm looking at the likes of Zion Mau'u, need to find a way to lift if they want to crack the NRL next season. Next up, though, we're going to look at the Western Suburbs Magpies. They finished the season in 9th, which is a marked improvement on their wooden spoon season last year. Their best performance was when they went down to Canberra to win by 22 points to 18, and that was when we saw the debut of our rookie spotlight, Hayamasi Makasine. We'll touch on him in a matter of moments. Their worst performance, though, was back in round 9 when the Dragons put 60 points on them at home at Lidcombe Oval. Their most improved player this year, Jackson Rami. I really like this signing. He's had stints at both South City and Newcastle, much more grounded this season at Western Suburbs, and was really, really solid through that middle third. He has an offload in him, some tackle breaks in there as well, and I was really impressed with what we saw there. Defensively, though, was a concern. They conceded 716 points this season. Meanwhile, they scored only 544 points, but they had chopping and changing. It was a very young New South Wales Cup side Western Suburbs put out this season, so that can be excused by some margin. Their best player for mine, Isaac Tuitupo. He earned a long-awaited NRL recall. We hadn't seen him in the NRL for a little while. He made his return back there against the Panthers at CommBank. He played 21 matches, 13 tries. He led the New South Wales Cup in post-contact metres with 1,168 post-contact metres. He had 57 tackle breaks on the year, whilst averaging 135 running metres and was in the top 10 for running metres in the New South Wales Cup. Tom Rodwell was the leader of the entire competition. Isaac Tuitupo inside the top 10 there. But back on to Hayamasi Makaseti. He went from SG Ball to New South Wales Cup to NRL in the space of about 5 months. That is insanity right there. He played 4 New South Wales Cup matches to prepare for this and excelled at a higher level. His ability to physically compete at the higher ages, at his ability and his development is extraordinary. He averaged over 100 metres in each of his 4 New South Wales Cup games while having 12 tackle breaks and a try in those matches as well. He's one for the future and he's one that's going to earn plenty of NRL reps in 2026. Hayamasi Makasini. Grand final appearance last season, much was made of them. Heading into 2025, a new head coach in tow after the disastrous stint of Pat Wisner meant that there was going to be a lot of questions asked if the Bears underperformed. And the questions were asked. Anthony Barnes' tenure's come and gone, and the North City Bears finished outside the 5 in 10th position. Their best performance was a round 19 50-0 win over Canterbury, while their worst loss was a 24-12 loss to Newtown back in round 16, which needs a bit of context to explain why. They were up 12-0. Newtown had a player sent off. They conceded a lot of tries late to lose that one against the Jets. Their most improved player was Matt Stimson, the edge back rower, formerly of the Melbourne Pathway system. Of course, he had a great season for the Bears. We highlighted him so often in our lower grade wrap this season. They scored 588 points this year, conceded 624 with their alliance with the Melbourne Storm ending next season. Questions will be asked around how they could get the best out of players like Jake Toby and Jesse Marshke whilst losing some key performers this season like your Suolagi Tumalatu Browns, your Gabe Satrix, those younger generation players, Bronson Garlick too, and while an injury to Jonah Pezzett meant that his time in North City colours was definitely a shorter stint. Their best player this season was Kobe Thomas. In 23 games, the half-turned lock scored 7 tries, had 44 tackle breaks, 6 offloads, and averaged over 100 metres a game. Some very impressive performances, including a player of the round effort in their loss to Parramatta, sort of in the latter stages of the season. He made 626 tackles at an 89% tackle efficiency in a breakout year. The rookie spotlight I mentioned earlier, Suolagi Tumalatu Brown. He was the Storm's Rookie of the Year this year at the club's awards night. In 14 games, he earned an NRL debut. He only scored the 1 try but had 5 line breaks and 15 tackle breaks, averaging just under 100 metres a game. The NRL debut made him a better player, and he'll be looking to progress in 2026. A couple of Melbourne young outside backs leaving, Kobe Williamson, Dean Aramea, means that the progression chart to first grade becomes that little bit easier, especially with Grant Anderson's departure as well. He was also part of the successful Melbourne Storm Jersey Flegg side that won the competition in 2025. Before we move on to our next team, though, a reminder that the Storm are fielding their own New South Wales Cup side next season, so Tuimalatu Brown will be one name to keep an eye on next season. Moving on to Manly, and they finished 11th with no finals this season. Their best performance was in round 25 with a 38-18 win over the old enemy North Sydney at Bear Park, while their worst loss was in round 6 when they were slaughtered 56 points to 0 at the hands of the Panthers at Parker Street Reserve. Their most improved was the young rugby school kid Hugo Hart. I was really impressed with him this season. His ability to work on the edge, have high uptake and involvement is something that does need to improve. Defensive side of the ball, no problems at all. Just needs to find a way to get a little bit more involved in attack. They scored 566 points this season, conceding 711 points, while their best player was Clayton Falala. Only playing the 13 games, yes, but he earned NRL recalls in a massive 2025, scoring 10 tries, having 55 tackle breaks, 12 try assists, averaging 145 metres, but was definitely rough in defence with a 59% tackle rate. Also, this Manly team is going to look a little bit different next year. Tommy Talau going, Ray Vega going, the old Vega bus, as we like to call him on the show. So this Manly side's going to look just a little bit different heading into next season. But the rookie spotlight is this man on screen, Joey Walsh. Now, but Jamal Fogarty's impending arrival, all of the development from Jamal will be into making Joey Walsh the best pivot possible. In 15 games this season since his debut at the New South Wales Cup Magic Round, He scored 7 tries, forced 10 dropouts, 16 try assists with 13 line break assists. He averaged over 100 metres and had a 94% tackle rate over the course of the season. Very limited sample size, yes, but I think he worked his way up the halves depth chart, particularly with those young ones coming through. We speak so highly of the guys like Toby Rodwell, Mitch Woods already today, Lorenzo Talatine, and 2 out of Parramatta. But Joey Walsh's season this year has seen him elevate himself almost to the top of the class in an absolutely outstanding season he had. Well, finishing up now with our final 2 teams, we're kicking off with the Newcastle Knights. 12th position this season with no finals. Their best performance was knocking the Roosters out of New South Wales Cup finals contention with a 28-24 win in the second to last round of the season. Their worst performance, though, a 48-24 loss to Manly back in round 14. They scored 518 points this season with Jackson Hastings leading the way whilst conceding 645. Their best performer this season, Mason Teague. He came to the club from the Dolphins and was immense from the moment he arrived in round 7, playing 19 games, averaging 80 running metres a game through the middle third. He was so dynamic for his work rate in the middle third. A free agent this season, he'll be looking for a new club, but put himself in the best position for that heading into 2025. The Mail, as we understand it, sees him heading to the Panthers next season because they absolutely cleaned out shop with their side this season. And when you look at some of these numbers, you can't understand why the Panthers don't want to get their boy back, because they were filthy to lose him, and they're going to be very happy when he comes back, let me tell you. He made 726 tackles, which was, believe it or not, the second most in the New South Wales Cup for a bloke that missed the first 6 games of the season. Also a 96.3 tackle percentage. So not a bad effort there from Mason Teague. In our rookie spotlight, Wilson DeCourcy, in 18 games this season, he scored 19 tries with 38 tackle breaks and 14 line breaks. He averaged just over 100 metres a game, but I think his yardage game does need to improve quite considerably, needs to bulk up over the summer. I've seen a lot of Newcastle fans agitate for him to potentially move into first grade, but things that Justin Holbrook will lean in, his yardage work, his ability to create, which DeCourcy does have, but you need to play complementary football. He also made 148 tackles and 87% tackle efficiency. So it'll be interesting to see how much attacking flair goes from DeCourcy bulking up and getting through that work out of yardage, or if they can coexist as such, which I think they should, because people that come from the Panther system do that. And you look at guys like Isaac Tungo in the past that started out a little bit rough, now starting to develop into an all-round style of centre. The McLean brothers as well are ones to model their games on. Finally, for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, they finished the year with the Wooded Spirit in 13th position. Their best performance was a win down in Canberra, 24 points to 14, while their worst performance does come with an asterisk, a 68-6 loss at the hands of the Warriors in round 21. I say it comes with an asterisk because if you just had one look at the South Sydney Rabbitohs side at any point during the season, it was an absolute bloody nightmare to cover this team at times. They scored 444 points this season whilst conceding 782. Their most improved for me, Tasami Tovai out in the front row. Their best player, Ashton Ward, earned himself an NRL debut and put himself in the best position to start there heading into 2026, playing 17 matches, forcing 5 dropouts, 6 try assists with 4 line break assists. He picked his moments when to run, but is an incredibly solid defender. 300 tackles at nearly a 90% tackle efficiency rate. We speak about his size so often and how little he is, but his work rate in contact to coincide with the attacking output, incredibly smart player. I'm looking forward to seeing him develop over the course of the preseason. Whilst a rookie spotlight for me, Celeste Arta'a. He had 21 matches since arriving from the Sharks at the end of the season. He scored 3 tries, 48 tackle breaks, top 5 in the New South Wales Cup with offloads, with 33 offloads. He had just under 100 metres and was a real shining light for South Sydney this season, making 343 tackles with a 93% tackle efficiency rate. Well, at the conclusion of our New South Wales Cup season recap, let's go through how the season ended once again with your ladder for season 2025. And there's plenty of work to do for those teams outside the top 5 this season. And of course, you throw in a new addition to the Melbourne Storm, and this competition is wide open heading into 2026. Well, it's time to once again reveal our New South Wales Cup team of the season. We've got Cody Ramsey at fullback. Of course, he'll be heading off to the Roosters next season. Asuka Power off to Newcastle next season. He was the leading try scorer for the New South Wales Cup, along with Tom Rodwell on the wings, who's on a top 30 deal with the Roosters. Nick Sagranis emerged as one of the game's more exciting hybrid centre-back rowers before an injury accrued his season, before returning for the grand final. He'll be looking to continue to impress with the Dragons, while Raz Nandva was a real surprise packet for Parramatta's charge through to the season. This season, graduating all the way through from Jersey Flag to make his mark in the centre position. Adam Cook continued to lead for Canberra, while Niwai Puru posted some career-best numbers for the Jets at halfback. The forwards Kala Navale continued to charge up the Manly depth chart, finishing the season in first grade, whilst Trey Mooney is another one heading to Newcastle in hope for a second opportunity. Sam Healy continued to impress in the Warriors number 9 jersey, with some startling performances in the end-season matches for the Warriors. It'll be interesting to see how Andrew Webster gets the best out of him next season. Kalis Fatialofa and Noah Martin were wrecking balls on the edge, while Kalani Going was our New South Wales Cup player of the season. In 23 matches, he had 8 tries, 56 tackle breaks, 6 offloads, averaging 114 metres a game. We mentioned at the time, wouldn't surprise us if NRL clubs come knocking. Well, it's been reported the Penrith Panthers are very keen on Kalani Going, and it wouldn't surprise me why, considering the leadership and the culture he can bring to those younger Panthers coming up and continue to sustain a dynasty at the Panthers, of course, after their tumbling defeats in all the competitions this season. Of course, he averaged 27 tackles a game. He made 628 of them and tackled at an impressive 94% efficiency. Meanwhile, our Rookie of the Year was Billy Phillips. He made his debut in round 1 this season, playing in 23 matches, scoring 2 tries, 4 line breaks, 27 tackle breaks, 723 tackles. That's averaging about 30 a game, and he tackled at 95% efficiency. He's very much an Isaiah Yeo mould of forward and has a bright future with more reps in open age football. With Eisenhuth and some other forwards departing, Billy Phillips will look to add to his 1 NRL game in 2026. Well, that concludes our New South Wales Cup season review. Right now, we're turning our attention to the Queensland Cup, and we're starting with the premiers, the Burleigh Bears. Queensland Cup season reviews now, and we're going to kick off with the premiers, the Burleigh Bears, who came in first place as minor premiers before making their way through to the grand final, where they accounted for the North Devils in their best performance of the year, winning by 22 points to 8 in that grand final. Their worst performance, though, was their round 1 catch-up performance, where they lost 34-24 at the hands of the Central Queensland Capras, and they were buoyed by the likes of Karapani, the likes of Jesse Harper's in that side, Fletcher Baker too on the bench, even though he was there for most of the year anyway, but he was still there. There was enough talent for them to get over the top of a pretty disappointing Capras side, as we'll be revealing throughout our season review. Their most improved was front rower Matt Colner. He burst out onto the scene in the pre-season challenge match of the Broncos against the Titans, suffered a really bad knee injury in that game. We thought, oh no, this could be a nightmare for Burleigh's season, but he came back and was bloody consistent throughout the season. They scored 643 points throughout the year, whilst only conceding 458. Their best player was Guy Hamilton, the young halfback, well, pretty experienced halfback now. He started out young with Canterbury, but been through a couple of Queensland Cup sides, nearly came down to the Roosters at one stage on a train and trial contract. He had 29 try assists in 22 games this season, 22 line break assists, 9 forced dropouts, 366 tackles, and an 87% success rate. Not bad for a halfback who's having to do a lot of tackles and getting run up by some big poppers. A real leader for Burleigh on their way to the title. Meanwhile, Josh Rogers is our player spotlight. He had 21 games, 9 tries, the leading point scorer in the Queensland Cup this season. He had 14 try assists with 20 offloads, 14 line break assists, 307 tackles with an 86% success rate. On the radar of the Perth Bears for 2027, and it could be a very handy get for this Perth side. Also on the improved list, Takatau Mapapalangi. He's going to the Broncos next season on a train and trial deal and will be a pretty handy asset for this Burleigh side as they look to go back-to-back with Luke Burt in charge. While the runners-up this season were the North Devils, continuing their successful run of late in the Queensland Cup, but their decision to sack coach Dave Elliott could be one that bites them in the proverbial. Coach Rowan Smith didn't really get the best at times out of this side. It was pretty arguable they should have gone back-to-back. Despite that, though, their best performance was a 16-8 win over Wynnum over at Country Round. Their worst performance, a 24-12 loss to South Logan in round 15. Their most improved was the edge-back row from St George Illawarra Jackson Sherab, scoring 573 points this season, while conceding just 420 on the year. North Devils definitely doing their best this season, just falling a little bit short. Their best player was Jordan Lipp. In 23 games, he scored 156 points, which remarkably was the same as last season. He had 14 try assists, 30 tackle breaks, 7 line breaks, and averaged around 80 running metres a carry, switching between centre, fullback, even had to go at 6 at one stage. He made 243 tackles out wide at centre with an 84% tackle efficiency. Jordan Lip's game is going to be heading to another level. He'll be going as part of the Super League next season with the expanded quota system in the United Kingdom and the second tier allowances. He'll be playing with the newly promoted York Knights in 2025. That is an amazing achievement for Jordan as he looks to potentially play well enough in Super League that NRL clubs, particularly those expansion clubs, come knocking in 2027 and beyond. So congratulations to Jordan on that move to England. You will go very, very well. Our rookie spotlight is the young winger LJ Nonu. Now, Tavita Nafahu at the Capras seemed to jump him at times this season, but LJ Nonu's going about his business quite well. He had 18 matches between Norths and Redcliffe, scoring 7 tries. He had 10 line breaks, averaging just over 100 metres a game, 47 tackle breaks with 112 tackles at an 89% tackle efficiency rate. He'll be looking to go step by step next season. As we'll discuss with Redcliffe in a moment, the Dolphins' outside back room is quite crowded heading into 2026, so options will be limited for him, but he'll be looking to go all the way. Next up for Wynnum Manly, they finished in 4th position and were eliminated in the preliminary final stage. Their best performance was an 18-10 win over Redcliffe in round 15. Their worst performance, a 24-14 loss to the Central Queensland Capras in round 21. Their most improved player was Josh Corrick, formerly from the Dragons. He was their club's best player at the club's awards night. They scored 591 points this season, whilst conceding just 448. Their best player for mine was Kalolo Saitowa. In 21 matches, he scored 5 tries, just under 100 metres a game, 3 try assists, 4 line break assists. But these are the stats I want you to look at. We talk so much about explosivity, the work rate, 175 tackle breaks this season. That is the most in the Queensland Cup. Throw in 5 offloads as well. 350 tackles at a 91% tackle efficiency. Some fair income numbers from Kalolo Saitowa this season. So those tackle breaks, it averaged out about 8.3 tackle breaks a game. And there were some games, I think he had 3 or 4 games, where he had 10 plus tackle breaks. Absolutely insanity at the moment from Kalolo Saitowa. But the man that really helped spark the Wynnum Manly season was Liam Sutton. He had 15 games following his arrival from Newcastle midway through the year. He had 10 tries, 10 offloads, 10 forced dropouts, 41 tackle breaks. He also had 14 try assists, 15 line break assists. He was on a friggin' hot streak as our player of the round for many, many weeks at a time. He also averaged 123 metres, 342 tackles at a 94% tackle efficiency rate. If clubs don't give him a train and trial deal, there's going to be some serious yelling, has to be said, around the joint, because he's an absolute classy player, Liam Sutton, and he'll be looking to go all the way in his career. He was a bit unlucky at Newcastle due to circumstances, but he's made the most of his short stint at Wynnum so far. Continuing our top 4 teams, and it's going to go to Redcliffe. They finished the year in 6th, but were eliminated in the preliminary final stage. Their best performance was the 22-16 upset win over Townsville in the semi-finals. Their worst performance, a 32-0 loss to Sunshine Coast just before that stage of the final series. His most improved was Josh Allen, the front rower, son of Queensland prop Gavin Allen from back in his heyday. Josh is heading off to Super League next season, continuing the youth movement at the Joel Tompkins-led Catalans Dragons, joining the likes of Zach Lipowicz, Isaac Fasil-Malaawi, Toby Sexton, Lewis Dodd, and the like over there as Catalans undergo one big rebuild. They scored 570 points this season whilst conceding 454. Their best player, in our view, is Will Partridge in a pear tree, one of our favourites here on the league scene. 22 games, 15 tries, beg my pardon, 43 tackle breaks, 13 line breaks, 9 try assists, averaged over 100 metres a game, defensively very, very sound, 313 of them at a 90% tackle efficiency rate. We reached out to Will over the summer, and he is actually playing in French Rugby League at the moment. He's playing in the top 14 over there in France, so that is a really awesome achievement. We'll go well over there, mate. We appreciate your support of our lower grade rap every single week. Now, I mentioned a couple of teams ago about LJ Nonu and the logjam that is going to happen with Dolphins outside backs following the signing of Selwyn Cobbo. Now, Max Feagai was a beneficiary of all the injuries, as was Tavita Nafahu, but Feagai, 12 games, 3 tries, 45 tackle breaks, 124 main tackles with an 87% tackle rate, 2 line breaks and a try assist. He's in a bit of a pickle at the moment with his career because, as I mentioned, there's a lot of intrigue around the Dolphins outside backs. He also averaged over 100 metres. But when Feagai was called upon at the NRL level, he played 8 games, 24 tackle breaks, so about 3 tackle breaks a game, 90% tackle efficiency, and averaged over 100 metres. And he was really the beneficiary when the Dolphins were on those scoring grades at the beginning of the year as well. So Max Fairguy will be looking for a bit more consistency next season in minutes, but where it comes from, that is really to be decided. Well, next up, we're going to be having a look at the Ipswich Jets. The Ipswich Jets finished the season without a single win. A year on, following the dismissal of Ben Cross, Ty Ingebrigtsen has brought a sense of hope and morale to Ipswich. After finishing last season so strongly, much was expected of Ipswich heading into 2025 and returned to the finals for the first time in over 5 seasons. So the Ipswich Jets deserve all the kudos in the world for that. They even made it to week 2 of the finals too. So all the progress, all the hard work is slowly starting to pay off for our friends over at Ipswich Jets. Their best performance, a 22-20 win over Redcliffe in round 10. And of course, their worst performance, a 32-0 loss to the Northern Pride. That game was where David Fafita played. And let's be honest, Fafita was a little bit dreadful. Their most improved player was Corey Ross, the man coming down from the North Sydney Bears this season. He found a home on the edge. And it's been reported that he could be on a trainer trial deal with the Gold Coast Titans. We're chasing some things up. A reminder, trainer trial episode of the podcast coming at the end of the season. Our best player was the Queensland Cup Player of the Year, was our league scene. Queensland Cup Player of the Year, Oliver Pascoe. We won't delve into him too much here. We'll save it for later. But the key ones for me, 15 tries, averaging over 100 metres a game, 6 try assists, averaging 38 tackles a game. He made 830 of them, 93% tackle efficiency too. Our spotlight, though, is Arama Howe. In 13 games, he had 3 tries over 100 metres per game, 2 line breaks, 50 tackle breaks, 13 offloads. He can be a bit of a loose cannon, but when he's gone into the NRL system, Des Hasler has absolutely no idea how to use him. And it's on display every single time that we watch the Ipswich Jets. That he's an absolute game breaker when you're playing for decent minutes. But for some reason, Des Hasler's had no idea how to utilise an interchange, and as a result, Arama Howe has been horrifically underused. Hopefully, that can change in 2025. We'll have more discussion on Oliver Pascoe a little bit later in the program. Well, moving on now, we're going to be discussing the Mendy Townsville Blackhawks. They finished in 3rd this season, eliminated in the 2nd week of the finals. They went out in straight sets to the Redcliffe Dolphins. Their best performance of the year, a 24-16 win over the then top-of-the-table North Devils. Their worst performance was a week later at Barlow Park, where they went down 28-14. They were caned in the penalties, and I think Matt Wright said a little bit too much to referee Daniel Schwass. Well, the most improved player was Isaiah Larcher, the middle lock forward for the Townsville Blackhawks. They scored 516 points this year, whilst conceding 500. So defensively, Terry Campese has a little bit of work to do. But trust me, when you got players like Dudley Dudoy, you don't really need to work on a lot on offense. He scored 26 tries in 22 games, 36 line breaks, and Espex had like 10 less than him. It was absolutely insane. 126 tackle breaks, averaging over 150 metres a game. All of the key KPIs, you want an outside back to tick off, Dudley Dudoy ticked off in droves this season. An NRL scout, I really do mean this, an NRL scout has not done their job properly if he remains in Q Cup next season. If he is not an NRL system, every single NRL club and every single NRL scout have not done their job properly. I'm calling it now. I know it's a little harsh, but Dudley Dudoy is way too good to spend another year in Q Cup. Because trust me, I can only hype up this bloke up for so long. I did it for 25 episodes this season, talking about Dudley Dudoy. I don't need to do it for another 25. You guys will get nausea. Then our rookie spotlight was Caden Lars. In 14 games, he made his NRL debut this season, scoring 4 tries, 40 tackle breaks, 8 offloads, averaging just under 100 metres a game. He'll be looking to continue to progress under Todd Payten, or a new coach if Todd Payten does eventually get his pink slip paper and told to get on out of Townsville. He made 229 tackles. The big one for me, 96% tackle efficiency. Well, continuing our coverage, we're going over to Papua New Guinea now, where the Hunters finished in 7th place, eliminated in the elimination final at the hands of the Redcliffe Dolphins. Their best performance came at home in round 7, where they defeated the Premiers Burleigh by 22 points to 14. Their worst performance came in Central Queensland in round 17, where they suffered a 46-30 defeat to the Central Queensland Capras. Their most improved performer, the edgeback rower, Robert Mathias. I thought he improved as the season went on, consistent out of his own end as far as carrying the football, good defender, strong tackle buster, really, really sound prospect over there in the Port. But Paul Aid on side, they were good with the ball defensively, a little bit sus. 536 points scored this season, 504 conceded. Their best player this season, Solo Wane. In 21 matches, he scored 14 tries, 62 tackle breaks, 20 line breaks, and averaged over 150 metres a game. The only critique that I have on Solo Wane and a couple of these Hunters guys, just got to develop some creativity around him. If you want to be a top Queensland Cup fullback, you've got to get those try-assist tallies up. I think it was around 4 or 5 this season. And I know the likes of Garavoro, Jamie Wavoko, those guys that we're going to speak about in a moment, dominated those statistics. But Wane, if you want to try and get to those levels, get to the next stage in your career, that is something that will have to ultimately improve. Rookie spotlight, Guy Vordo. He had 19 games in his first maiden Queensland Cup campaign with the Hunters. He scored 7 tries, had 49 tackle breaks, 12 try assists, 12 line break assists, 17 offloads. He was dubbed the PNG Jerome Lua. There were some rumblings he might be coming to the NRL next season. They are yet to be confirmed, but it'll be interesting to see if Vordo does come, how his expertise and his ball playing can be attributed in a more regular Australian style of football. But he made some big strides this year, Guy Vordo. 12 try assists, 12 line break assists, as we mentioned. He's also a mean, lean, tackle-busting machine. Well, we're finishing up with the Sunshine Coast Falcons, who finished in 5th position, eliminated in an elimination final, Golden Point heartbreaker to Ipswich. Their best performance came in the second to last round of the season, with a 32-0 win over Redcliffe. Their worst performance, though, a 40-point shellacking at the hands of the Mackay Cutters in round 16. Their most improved was Zion Johnson, the young winger. He was given the Queensland Cup Rookie of the Year award at the QRL Awards night. They scored 504 points, conceding 447. Their best player this season was Cody Hunter. In 20 matches, he scored 7 tries, had 164 points, forced 9 dropouts, 12 try assists, 9 line break assists, 10 offloads, 276 tackles, and a tackle efficiency of 86%. Now, we're going to touch on this with Brisbane in our next sort of team focus, but we're going to touch on it here as well. Next season is a real interesting year for the Sunshine Coast, given the feeder situation, no longer having that access with the Melbourne Storm, who are going it alone in New South Wales. So it'll be on the likes of Cody Hunter, it'll be on the likes of Zion Johnson, Harrison McIndoe, Mason Payne, those young, exciting outside backs to continue to lift those forwards like your Cooper Page Wilsons of the world, to continue their progressions year on year without the NRL guys. Like our NRL spotlight, Lazarus Vaalepu. 15 matches, he had 18 tackle breaks with 2 tries, 16 offloads, 122 running metres per game, 279 tackles for a 94% tackle efficiency. For some reason this season, I felt underwhelmed with Lazarus whenever he went down to Q Cup. I expected just a little bit more from him, more work rate through the middle third. Just nothing really came of Vaalepu. And when he went up to first grade, he was okay. He was solid, but he wasn't that breakout sort of player that an Azavalu Lasati was for the likes. So next year's a really big year. Nelson Asofa Solomona leaving as well. So there's a lot of positional jockeying for positions there, including a player that we'll touch on in our next team and the first of our bottom 8 teams in the Brisbane Tigers. Failed to make the finals this season. We're kicking off with the Brisbane Tigers, who finished just outside the 89th position. Their best performance came courtesy of a 26-18 win over the Sunshine Coast in round 5. Their worst performance in round 8, where they lost 34 points to 20 to the Central Queensland Capras. Their most improved player was Asher O'Donnell, who's picked up a contract to go play in England next season. Of course, he's the brother of Kyle O'Donnell, who's been playing over with the North Queensland Cowboys. So Asher going over to England on a deal is going to be very exciting for him this season. He's going over to play with Super League club Huddersfield Giants. They scored 487 points this season whilst conceding 512. Asher scored 9 tries in 18 appearances this season and will be looking to bring tries to Luke Robinson's back row combination over at Huddersfield next season. Their best player this season was Josh Smith, the centre that we kept talking about every single week. In 20 matches, he scored 10 tries. He had 94 tackle breaks, 12 line breaks, leading the Queensland Cup in running metres with 3,647 metres this season, averaged 182 metres a game. He made 183 tackles and an 86% tackle efficiency. This guy is a really, really classy centre. It feels like a couple of teams around the NRL at the moment are in need of some good centre depth. Well, I'm going to continue this Josh Smith agenda for a long time. Another club that will be a victim of the Melbourne Storm, and their development changes, so they won't get any Storm players this season, and it includes the likes of Josiah Harpulu, who is our NRL spotlight In 12 matches this season, following his mid-season move down for the Gold Coast, he picked up a try, 17 tackle breaks, 7 offloads. He averaged 9 hit-ups and 100 metres a game, which is good. Sort of that KPI we look for. 235 tackles with a 94% tackle efficiency. He's in competition with Varlepu, who we spoke about just before, and a couple other players in amongst the squad. Adavalu Lasardi, who's obviously picked up Samoan representation for that spot looming in the Melbourne side following the departure of the Big Bopper Nelson Asafa Solomona. Meanwhile, for the South Logan Magpies, they came in 10th place this season, missing the finals. Their best performance was a 24-12 win over the runners-up Norths Devils in round 15, beg my pardon. But then their worst performance came a fortnight later with a 36-32 loss against Tweed. Their most improved player this year, Latrell Segwalt, from the fullback position. I thought he was really classy, had some nice touches throughout. It's a shame that he's going to be going over to South Sydney next season because he would have been a really nice, handy fullback depth piece for Reece Walsh should they needed to go there. They were a really good attacking team this year, scoring 624 points defensively. They were okay. They weren't spectacular, but they weren't poor, conceding 532 points. Their best player this year, Rory Ferguson, in 17 matches, scoring 7 tries, had 11 offloads, 34 tackle breaks, averaging 122 metres a game. Just an absolute toiler in the middle third, and Madge does like his toilers. He had Tristan Power do some good things over in the off-season with them before moving over to Super League in Huddersfield. He's also really embraced the likes of Ben Tolte. Matt Cullen is rumoured to be going there on a trainer trial as well, so Rory Ferguson could end up there as well. Big talking point, the rookie spotlight, Kobe Black. Now, obviously with the Broncos' mooted moves for Jonah Pezzett, really eyes are on what Kobe Black has done. It appears Brisbane aren't too happy or not thrilled with the way he's been developing. But we'll go through his numbers. He had 8 try assists, 9 line break assists, 6 tries, 4 forced dropouts, 2 40-20s, 11 offloads in 16 games. I thought he was one of the better ones in the under-19s Origin game. I've had some differing takes with differing people on his performance, but he's a really classy player. He just needs these reps in open age football to keep on getting better. He's going to be turning 20 next year though, so maybe a move away from Brisbane won't do him any harm. It'll be interesting to see how the feeder relationships go next year, where Tom Duffy goes, if he's aligned with South Logan as well. These two could really be duking it out for a half spot next season. Defensively too, 237 tackles with a 90% tackle efficiency rate. Meanwhile, for Tweed, they finished in 11th position this season and will be parting ways with coach David Penner, who's moving into their head of football. Their best performance was in the last round of the season. I thought that was a really strong performance against Townsville, 26-24 for win there. Their most improved was the hooker Romano Cook. Their worst performance, their round 1 catch-up game, 38-28 loss to Wynnum Manly. They scored 504 points this season whilst conceding 530. Their player of the year at the club's awards night was JJ Collins. In 19 matches, he scored 5 tries, 32 tackle breaks, 19 offloads. He had 438 tackles with a 94% tackle efficiency. He also averaged 131 metres a game. Absolutely sensational stuff there from the veteran who's bounced around the league, seems to have found a home at Tweed this season and will be staying with the club next season. Well, our rookie spotlight is another young half who's been flying under the radar in more ways than one, and it's young Zane Harrison, who's earned himself a top 30 deal. In his 11th matches in his rookie Queensland Cup campaign, he scored 4 tries, forced 3 dropouts, 3 offloads, 4 try assists, 3 line break assists. I thought there was a really important match with South Logan there where he and Kobe Black went head to head. I had to give the points to Zane Harrison. I thought he controlled that game and the tempo really, really well. He made 193 tackles with a 90% tackle efficiency. So Zane Harrison ticking a lot of boxes there for the Titans. Also, Tukey Simpkins, we saw him make his NRL return as such after a couple of years in the wilderness. So really, this competition proves that if you're a player that's sort of been on the brink and you can produce some solid performances time after time, you're well on track to continue your NRL career. Next up, we're going to go and look at the Mackay Cutters now, who finished in 12th position this season. They missed the finals, but they had some ups and downs in Adam Cuthbertson's first year in charge. Their best performance in round 16 was a 54-14 win over the Sunshine Coast. Their worst performance came 4 weeks later, a 56-8 loss to South Logan. Their most improved was Brenton Byra, and it's a shame because he's going to be leaving the club next season, going over to the Ipswich Jets, an absolute speed machine. They scored 412 points this season whilst conceding 501. Their best player is another one who's going to be leaving in John Riddell. In 15 matches, he scored 2 tries, a consistent worker in the middle third. He gets you a high work rate on both sides of the ball, and we're really excited to see him test himself in the New South Wales Cup next season with the South Sydney Rabbitohs. He's starting on a New South Wales Cup deal this year before moving into a trainer trial and a development sort of role in seasons to come. So congratulations, John, on that deal. You're going to go absolutely great guns. Our rookie spotlight is Xavier Kerrisk. Now, in 10 matches, he scored 2 tries. He picked his moments when to run, and he's earmarked as a future Cowboys hooker. There's a bit of competition there now, obviously, with Zach Herdigan in his transition into that role, who we'll talk about in just a moment. So there's a bit of intrigue there about how things will shape up. He made 202 tackles, only missed 11 all season, which is pretty damn good, whilst forcing 2 dropouts. So there's a bit of creativity there, and it'll be interesting to see how he shapes up as he develops next season for the Mackay Cutters. Teams that missed the finals. Now we're going to kick off with the Central Queensland Capras, who finished in 13th position, missing the finals. Their best performance of the year, a 34-24 win over the Burleigh Bears in the first round of the season. Of course, with round 1, we had all the postponements and catch-up games with Tropical Cyclone Alfred, so this game wasn't played until August. So this is where Burleigh were just starting to get into their own a little bit, and it was a strong performance by the Capras that afternoon at their home ground. Their worst performance, though, a 56-12 massacre at the hands of the Redcliffe Dolphins back in round 13. We've gone with 2 most improved players here. We've gone with Tavita Nafahu, who managed to earn himself an NRL debut midway through the year with some impressive performances for the Capras. Meanwhile, Ryan Jackson continued to try hard in every single match that he played. They scored 398 points this year, which put them down the bottom as far as attack, and they also conceded 544 points, so it was a bit of a leaky ship for Lionel Harbin's side. Their best player, Dixon, put 18 matches, 5 tries. He had 8 line breaks, 6 line break assists, 55 offloads. I think he was top of the Queensland Cup by a fair distance. Also, 52 tackle breaks as he transitioned between centre and back row. We call him a PNG Talakai on the lower grade rap for a reason. He also averaged 169 metres a game, making 302 tackles with an 86% tackle efficiency rate. Next up, the rookie spotlight, James Walsh. In 16 games, the young talented outside back scored 8 tries. He had 10 line breaks. He had 4 tries in that game at Papua New Guinea, so he's an absolute machine. 20 offloads, 52 tackle breaks, the same tackle break number as Nixon put as well. He had 231 tackles and 84% tackle efficiency. Not bad for an outside back, averaging just under 100 metres a game. He'll be looking to try and fit into that Dolphin logjam of outside backs we've spoken about so often in this program. Moving over to the Northern Pride, they also missed out on finals this season in a massive fall from grace. New coach Russell Aiken was sacked at the end of the season, of course replaced by the Raider, Sam Williams, who'll be coaching them for the next 2 seasons. They finished in 14th, as we mentioned. They missed the finals. Their best performance came in round 8, a 32-0 win over an Ipswich side that had plenty of NRL players, including David Fafita. Their worst performance was a 42-4 loss to the Sunshine Coast Falcons. Their most improved was Garrett Sublu, the fullback centre. Played anywhere for the Northern Pride this season and was pretty solid in that as well. They scored 417 points this season, conceding 477. Their best player was Dane Orca-Folau. He picked up the Queensland Cup Back Row of the Year award at the QRL Awards night. He also had 11 tries, 9 line breaks, 9 offloads, 457 tackles with a 92% tackle efficiency, averaging just over 100 metres a game. The Pride really did struggle this season because last year they had that halves combination of Clifford and Duffy really guiding them throughout the season, and they didn't have that this year, on top of not having Eric Smith as coach, and he took a lot of players, Dantore Louis, Will Partridge, Kyle Schneider, amongst the likes that were really consistent for them. They weren't at Russell Aiken's disposal this season, and it made things incredibly difficult. Plus, they're trying to reevaluate their feeder relations up north as well. Speaking of feeder affiliations, our rookie spotlight is hooker Zach Herdigan. In 15 matches, he scored 2 tries, forced 3 dropouts, 5 try assists, 3 line break assists. The half-turn hooker made 302 tackles and an 89% tackle efficiency. We talked about Xavier Kerrisk just before. Now you throw in the potential of Zach Herdigan in the mix as well. So a lot of intrigue there at the Northern Pride, and also for North Queensland moving forward as well, because the Pride, they had some players come in. They had Ben Rumble, who started so well in New South Wales before coming up to the Northern Pride. You also had the likes of Marlon Batagana, who won't be there next year. They also had guys like Campbell Duffy, who really were impressive, as was SM Ioka and Nick Lanaz. Lanaz in particular now going over to Townsville next season. For the Western Clydesdales, we're going to unfortunately give them the wooden spoon. They came last this season. They have two good performances for mine this season. They had a 32-all draw with the Premiers in round 12, plus their win over the Sunshine Coast back in round 3. Their worst performance, a 66-10 loss to South Logan in the round 1 catch-up period. Their most improved was the outside back Joseph Linadamu, who was their leading try scorer this season. They scored 308 points as they struggled for any attacking identity, conceding 730 points. If there's one positive about the arrival of the Walker brothers coaching, one, we won't get any more PR about them, but number two, the attack should definitely improve. Their best player was hooker/half Kai Duggan. In 20 matches, he scored 2 tries, forced 4 dropouts, 2 try assists, 2 line break assists, 680 tackles with a tackle rate of 92%. Very, very impressive and an absolute toiler for a side that struggled for anything this season. Next up, Corey Fenning is our spotlight player. He was their leading point scorer, scoring 108 of 308 points. He scored 10 tries in 18 games, 6 line breaks, 3 try assists, 64 tackle breaks. The most dangerous attacking player for the Clydesdales in 2025. They leaned on experience of the likes of Emre Pere, but they just don't have that key NRL affiliation at this point. And unless they can start to attract some NRL caliber players, then unfortunately this is going to be a trend that continues, and hopefully the Walker brothers can change that in 2026. Well, let's now confirm the way our ladder looked, and of course, Burleigh finishing the season as premiers. Townsville surprised everyone with the lack of NRL affiliation with them this year. They did really, really well to finish in 3rd spot. Wynnum Manly flew through to finish in the top 4, while Redcliffe also did incredibly well to make it through to the preliminary final. Ipswich continued their incredible rise, while Papua New Guinea made their 2nd straight finals appearance as well. The Brisbane Tigers fell agonisingly close, while the Northern Pride fall off is one that a lot of people are scratching their heads, wondering how it happened. Well, let's now confirm our Queensland Cup team of the season. Ben Farr at fullback from Wynnum. On the wings, Dudley Duttoy and Manasi Kaho. Kaho was absolutely incredible for a north side out of yardage this season. Josh Smith and Solo Wane in the centres. Anthony Milford led the Queensland Cup in try assist at the conclusion of the regular season, before Guy Hamilton's incredible final series saw him reclaim that position. He is there at halfback. The forwards in this team of the year, we've got Josh Allen and Sam Elliott up front. Oliver Pascoe is our hooker. Nixon Putt and Kololo Sayatawa on the back row. Sam Costa was the lock forward. Our Queensland Cup player of the season this season was Oliver Pascoe. In 22 matches, he had 15 tries. For a hooker, those are pretty good numbers. 6 try assists, 9 line break assists, 60 tackle breaks, averaging 114 metres a game, 830 tackles and an impressive 93% tackle rate. He's earned a train and trial berth with the Titans next season, which is so well deserved. Speaking of well-deserved for the Titans, our Rookie of the Year was Cooper Bye. After shining in the Under-19s Origin, Cooper Bye played 7 Queensland Cup matches before earning an NRL debut in round 27. He had 5 tries, 5 offloads, 22 tackle breaks, averaging 150 metres a game. He had 172 tackles and a 95% tackle efficiency. He's got a very strong chance of taking a bench spot or possibly even starting for the Titans in 2026 as Josh Hannay looks to rebuild their identity. Well, that is our final edition of the Lower Grade Wrap for season 2025. Thank you so much for your support, your patience throughout the year as we've been navigating how to best produce this program. It has been a massive undertaking from the entire league scene team and those who have contributed on the show this year. My heart goes out to every single one of you for trusting us with this program, trusting us that we can get this right, and we are so excited to bring it back in 2026. Thank you again for your support and your company, and we'll catch you in 2026. On behalf of the entire league scene team, I'm AJ Lee Cantonio, and we'll catch you in 2026.